Happy New Year and welcome to the first edition of Black Nouveau for 2020. I'm Joanne Williams. If you're setting some fitness goals for the new year, James Causey has two guests with some tips for you. We'll visit a new mural at the War Memorial Center that pays tribute to African-American veterans. And we'll look back at the No Studio's first Social Justice Summit, where I had the honor to host the Social Justice Story Awards. You know, one of our January customs is to present one of the winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Speechwriting Contest. The celebration will be held on January 19th at the Marcus Center. It will be Milwaukee's 36th annual commemoration. This year's winner in the 11th and 12th grade category is Samavia Akhter from Salam High School.
My life has significance. I would constantly ponder over this very statement. Does my life really have any significance in the grand scheme of things, or is it all just for nothing? During junior high, I wasn't the happiest. I had issues with my friends, family, and just trying to figure out who I was. I hated myself because of how others made me feel, and because I constantly thought, what difference would it make if I was gone? I never thought anything I did was worthwhile or enough to prove I was significant in this world. Fast forward to the first day of freshman year. I'm sitting in one of my many classes. I'm nervous because it's high school. Everything I do now will determine my future, and I'm scared of messing up. I take a seat in the front row. The teacher introduces themselves, and they do it in such a funny but still teacher-like way that it makes me relax. Throughout that class, I inquire frequently and join class discussion. Throughout that first week, they tell me I'm a stellar student. They admire my work, and they believe I have talent. It makes me feel significant, that an adult thinks my work is of a high standard. It changed me. Those few words truly changed me. I started to believe in myself. I began to think my words can change a person's views or cause emotion to rise within them. My words have power. Throughout my freshman year, I battled the issues I had. I started to feel fuller of life, made new, better friends, and finally began to figure out my path. That teacher probably never realized the impact of their words. To them, it was just commending a kid they really thought had potential. But it transformed everything for me. They impacted my life significantly. I stand here now as a junior in high school, knowing I have significance and ready to impact someone in the same transmogrifying manner. This experience assisted me to perceive that the measure of my significance should not be affected by others' negative opinions or views of me. It is measured by accepting who I am and being proud of that. Since then, I refuse to allow others to tear me down. I remind myself, no one can make me feel inferior without my consent. Secondly, I remind myself that it is not necessary to be best in comparison to everyone else in order to feel significant. It is only required I be the best version of myself. Martin Luther King Jr. once said to students attending Barrett Junior High School, "Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are." His words resonate through me now, motivating me to continue through my day, even with all that is impeding me. These struggles are a component of life, but as I learned from my experience, it is what people do for others that matters. That teacher redefined my perspective of myself, and because of that, I try to do as many things as I can to assist others, because the one good deed I do for them may be their life-changing factor. We go on living because we know there is a reason we are all here. Each one of us has a purpose to help others that changes them in the best way possible, whether it be to be the one to find the cure for cancer, to become a teacher, or stay-at-home mother or father. No matter your position, you are important to someone, somewhere, because of how you've affected their lives. So ultimately, you should realize your worth. Realize that your infinite significance is the profound notion of how we can literally transform one another, making better people and therefore a better world.
I'm joined now by Samavia Akhtar, the author of the essay you just heard. Congratulations, it was very good.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. The theme was, is your life significant, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You started off saying that you didn't think it was, and then you moved into saying that teachers had encouraged you to realize that it is. Were you surprised when that happened to you?
I was in a way, because during middle school it wasn't very good for me at the time, and it was just like I said in my speech, I didn't feel very significant. But once that teacher said those few words about me and they made me feel great about myself, it was very helpful in realizing that I do mean something in the world. So yeah.
How long did it take you to write this essay?
It took me about a week. I went through 3 different drafts, and the same teacher that I talked about, he actually helped me with it, so yeah. But he doesn't know that he's the teacher in it, so.
Oh,
No.
so he doesn't realize that it was his influence.
No.
Okay, you're going to tell him now
Maybe.
that you won the contest?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. What did you think when you won the contest?
I was very happy that the fact that my speech got to the judges and it made them feel something, because that was my goal when writing it. So I was very happy.
You said something in your speech about how words can make people feel. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that?
I do believe that, because whenever we read, that's the reason that people like books so much, because when you read, you feel. That's what people like. You see the words on the page and then you picture something in your head. It makes you feel emotion in a way that other things can't.
Is it more fun to read something than it is to listen to something?
I actually believe that it is. I'm a very avid reader. I love to read in my spare time. It just takes you to places that you'd never think you can go. You want to go to Paris? All you have to do is pick up a book and read about it.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, I think that your writing and that you are significant, which you concluded that you are, so you should be congratulated by that. And I hope we hear more from you in the future.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on Black Nouveau.
Many people send cards or flowers as a form of condolences. After a Milwaukee police officer killed her son Dontre in 2014, people across the country showed support for Maria Hamilton through their canvases.
This art has come from all across the nation. A lot of people wanted to be supportive of me and my family and the movement. So they express themselves through their art, whether it's painting, poetry, some wrote books, some did pictures of us and actually made into book form. The art of change, it allows people to be a voice through something that they're passionate about. I want to say it's an expression of self. It's a learnable and an educational attachment to the change as well. And I think it allows people to be a voice through their passion with their art.
We had to use our bodies, our voice, arts, props, music, and the art of just being a voice bigger than what was wrong.
Hamilton spoke about art as a form of protest and repair at No Studio's inaugural art-activated social justice summit.
We think about the arts, and it's a beautiful thing. It makes us laugh. It crosses those demographics. It transcends all of those things that sometimes keep us separated. But when you put it at the intersection of social justice, different things can happen. I'm talking about the change that can move mountains. I'm talking about the change that can move hearts.
The summit included a week of events to highlight art as a tool to talk about local issues such as human trafficking, housing, and criminal justice.
John and I really felt that we need to acknowledge these challenges. You know, our members are impacted by the challenges. The communities that we're serving are impacted by these challenges. So rather than running away from the challenges, we wanted to run to them and to find a way to use our area of expertise as a component of the solution.
That expertise for No Studios founder John Ridley comes in the form of using film to tell stories of social justice.
The first part of my career did some interesting films, but they weren't necessarily socially relevant. But in the later part of my career, when I could work on things like Red Tails, like 12 Years a Slave, like American Crime, I could see how the art was affecting people. We would take these films and these stories around the country and around the world, and you could see that people were moved by them or provoked by certain ideas.
It's not just viewers that connect with Ridley's storylines.
So from 13 to 25, I was incarcerated. I was a gang member, drugs, the whole broken community, generational trauma is how I grew up. At 20 years old, I shot a man in East Los Angeles.
Actor Richard Cabral's real-life experiences in the criminal justice system are partially what drew him to his role on American Crime.
But I honestly think when it was roles like we did on American Crime, when I was able to really like tap into my emotions, right? And it was just how this character was written, and it was like John was telling my story, right? And that's when everything kind of just aligned, and it was just like, wow, this is not just gonna be words that I am reading off the script. This is gonna be my experience.
Cabral is now opening the doors for other people from his community of East Los Angeles to heal through art.
So I started an acting scholarship with my acting coach. So any homie or homegirl or anybody from the barrio that came out of the streets and wanted to become an actor, they would get a free ride for the first month.
Art has definitely healed my life in so many ways, and I think that it continues. It will never stop unless I want it to stop. And it's a way that I could be a better father, that I could be a better husband, that I could be a better son. And it's only in discovering these words and whether I'm in front of a camera or whether I'm on a stage.
I think I looked at people like Richard who inspired me to do more. And that's what we want to do with the Social Justice Summit, is to move people through art, through the things that we do, but then say to them, if you're really moved, don't just walk out of the theater or walk out of the room. Go talk to that person, see how you can help. Go make part of your life about reaching other people and see how much better life can be.
This is a time of the year where people set fitness goals. But how do you get started? Joining us is certified personal trainer and fitness studio owner Shannon Allaround and fitness author and trainer Leonard Wilson. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So according to the CDC, more than half of black women and 30% of black men over the age of 20 are considered obese. What are 3 key steps people should take to achieving their fitness goals?
Well, as far as 3 key steps, the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out your overall goal. Okay, so the first step is building your mindset. All right. The second step is going to be forming a regimen, because a regimen, and basically to break that down, a regimen is basically a schedule of fitness and an eating plan. So that's a regimen. You have to form that. And in forming that, you may have to go to a fitness expert, a fitness professional, join your local gym, and so that's the second step. The third step is carrying everything through accountability, whether it's you have a friend or a spouse that's holding you accountable. It's good to tell them your goals. Hey, just for example, I have a woman that's a member of the gym, and she told her husband and her kids, hey, my goal is to lose 20 pounds, hold me accountable. Every day when I come home and I'm supposed to eat my meals, if you see me going for the wrong meal or the wrong snack or cookies or cakes, tell me, hey, that's not going to go along with the 20-pound fitness goal that you told me about. So those are the steps. Those are the 3 steps, in my opinion, you know. So step 1, step 2, and step 3.
Leonard, if say somebody comes to you and say, you know, I want to take off 20 pounds, what are some misconceptions you hear about how to get that quick weight off?
Well, there's a lot of different misconceptions. I'm not, well, me personally, I'm not, as a trainer, for me, I'm not a real fan of fad diets. You know, people do those, and what happens is that you will lose the weight, but the problem is it's not a lifestyle. So what happens is that you'll gain the weight right back. So you might lose the 20 pounds, but as soon as you stop doing whatever it is that you're doing, you're gonna gain the weight back. So I always try to focus on taking a lifestyle approach. Can you do this for the rest of your life? Can you eat this way for the rest of your life? It's about a healthy lifestyle. Some of the other, there's a lot of gadgets that are out there sometimes that have you purchasing just for, you know.
Gadgets and pills.
Yes, yes. That I'm one that, and I agree with Shannon, my 3 things are exercise, nutrition, and the right mindset. And the right mindset is that discipline, that mindset to really focus on.
So I understand you work a lot with seniors.
Yes.
So, you know, a lot of people say, you know, I'm old now, I don't have to do this. But how do you get older people, elderly, involved in weight training or just exercise?
Oh, the same way. What I do is it's a process. I consider myself a process trainer. A lot of people, when you reach a certain age, you feel like, oh, I can't do that anymore. And I always, even for myself at this point, at 53, looking on my way to being 54 this coming year, it's about taking each day, pacing myself, setting the goal, what I'm about to do. So when I work with older people, we start with the process. We're not going to go in there and start doing 50 push-ups. We're not going to do 30 jumping jacks. We're going to start where you are, and we're going to slowly build each day, each time we meet, and kind of emphasize that and make that the lifestyle.
Now, Shannon, weight training is an issue that comes up a lot. A lot of women say that they don't want to do the weight training because they don't get too buff. What do you say about that?
Well, here's the thing. As far as weight training, and I agree with Leonard as far as making this a lifestyle change, as you mature as a woman, you're going to need weights. You're going to need resistance type of training. And it's already medically proven that as women age and progress, they can possibly lose bone density and flexibility if they don't weight train and they don't use resistance training during their workout regimen. So with all that being said, you have to think of the long-term goal of you being healthy on a long-term basis rather than, I just want to be skinny tomorrow, but then forget on down the road because I don't know. No. You want to think about ahead of the road, long-term basis, being healthy even as you age. And then as far as building mass, and I'm going to be totally honest here, building muscle mass. Most women are not going to put on muscle to where they're going to be looking bulky or boxy. Most of that comes from synthetic type of help, so to speak. Okay. So in a lack of better terms, you know, some people may call it steroids, some people may call it juicing, whatever it may be. But if you're not taking a illegal steroid, then that is what will bulk you up and make you look not, you know, as you want to. But if you just lift weights, do resistance training, you can be lean and toned and still look like a woman and still have womanly curvy figure.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. This is a conversation we'll definitely continue. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
In the early 1950s, several community groups saw the need for a fitting memorial to honor the soldiers killed in World War II. The community pooled its resources in a truly remarkable fundraising campaign, which resulted in construction starting in 1955 and the War Memorial being dedicated on Veterans Day 1957.
A group of people got together and thought, let's not have a statue, let's not do a flagpole, let's do a living, breathing memorial. It was painstaking. They had to find a place to do it. They had to raise a lot of money. It took a few years, but they raised the money. They raised $2.7 million. Now, $2.7 million came from 70,000 individuals and businesses in the Milwaukee area. It was on marquees at theaters. It was on sides of buses. So the community got behind this. This is the community's War Memorial Center.
Since its opening in 1957, the Milwaukee County War Memorial Center has honored the dead by serving the living. It's hosted meetings, screenings, and ceremonies highlighting America's military history and Wisconsin veterans who served their country. The walls of the center show much of that history, but for a long time, that history was incomplete.
For many years, there's been a part missing, and that's we haven't touched on the African American. Although they're here, they're celebrated here, but there has been nothing to give kids, especially, something you can look at and learn, and have someone talk to them about the contributions that African American veterans made for the freedom that we so cherish.
But that changed after Drent had a conversation with Otis Winstead, the executive director of Dry Hooch. He had also become aware of the lack of representation.
I said, Dave, me and Myrtle, he knows Myrtle, my wife, he says, we searched through the building and we've gone through this building like the last 2 hours. And he says, I know what you're going to say, Otis. I know exactly what you're going to say. I says, well, Dave, if you know what I'm going to say, why I need to say it? I said, well, say it anyway. He says, there's no people of color, there's no veterans in this building. He says, I know. He says, Otis, I've been trying to get this done for 40 years. And at that moment, he stood up and he said to me, listen, I'll tell you what. He says, if you can get a committee together of veterans, I'm retiring in December of 2019, the end of the year. He says, it's already been approved. It's been approved for years from our board. He says, you go for it. And that's what we did.
The mural is on the 4th floor of the War Memorial Center. It is proof of African American participation in all of the wars fought by the United States. Its base reflects national history. Crispus Attucks, the first American to die in the Revolutionary War, is in the center. There are numerous pictures of Union soldiers from the Civil War. There are Buffalo soldiers. And there are pictures from both World Wars. The women who served are also recognized. And there are images from more recent engagements.
The wall itself, that's the back wall, the wrap itself. Now, we wanted to focus on African-American veterans from Wisconsin. And that's what we're doing. We're doing images of, I think, about between 20 and 26 prominent veterans that are from Wisconsin, and we put those up on the wall also.
When we edited this segment, pictures of the local veterans had not yet been added. Claiborne Benson, executive director of the Wisconsin Black Historical Society, is curating the project.
There are many soldiers who came home after World War II, Mr. Harris, Mr. Lloyd Bobby, but they came home to get a GI Bill, to get educated, and wanted to make a difference.
Benson is also one of those veterans.
So I'm drafted 1970 into the United States Army, and I integrate the 961st Engineering Unit. I'm a photographer. I go in 1970, and eventually I served 7 years. And I'm doing the Vietnam era.
And there are many others.
I went in 1962. I finished high school in 62. I think I went to MATC for a semester and just didn't have any idea what I wanted to do in or be. And a couple of friends of mine went into the Air Force, and a couple of others went into the Army. And so I viewed that as a viable alternative at the time. And so I went in service in September of 1962 into the Air Force for 4-year enlistment. That seemed like a lifetime at the time. I kind of grew up in service, and retrospectively, reflecting on it, it was positive. I matured, went from 18, got out, I was a 22-year-old man, and had probably a sense of purpose, sense of direction, and probably knew I did not at that time want to stay in service 20 years.
But some did build careers in the service. Major Felicia Towns retired in 2018 after 35 years in the military.
I was enlisted for 18 years. I made it to the rank of Master Sergeant, E7, and then I crossed over to become a butter bar, second lieutenant. And then I became an executive officer, and then I changed into a logistics readiness officer. It helped me grow. I became more disciplined. Not that I was a bad child or anything like that. I have great parents. My parents are still with me today, and I think that's part of it. They're a blessing. But it helped me grow, more disciplined, more structured. Education. I've traveled, I've seen the world, I've met people. I wouldn't change it. One thing I would change, I would go active duty, because then I'd be retired by now. But that's probably the only thing I would change. But it has helped me in ways you would not even believe as far as education goes.
On February 3rd, the War Memorial Plaza will host its opening ceremony for the mural.
Join us for our next edition of Black Nouveau on February 6th at 7:30 on Channel 10. We'll take you to a class that is unlearning racism. And be sure to check out our web exclusives online. We'll talk about Danaya Gurira's play Eclipsed, and we'll tell you how you can help the Milwaukee Rep select our community's sheroes. We also have an interview with child trauma therapist Jane Ikayu. She spoke at the No Studios Social Justice Summit about her work in Uganda, where she used creative arts as a healing approach with former child rebel soldiers. And we have a link to a short film by former NFL player turned filmmaker Matthew Cherry. It's a special treat that you won't want to miss. And that's our program for this month. For Black Nouveau, I'm Joanne Williams. Thanks for watching.